Urgent Dallas Cowboys fans, do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel because here we bring you daily videos with the latest Dallas Cowboys updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Hey Cowboys fans, today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about topics in the NFL right now. And I mean deep, detailed, and comprehensive. We're going to explore what's happening with the Dallas Cowboys defense, the recent struggles that have sparked a lot of debates, and what the future might hold for this franchise. If you've been following the Cowboys closely, you've probably felt that mix of frustration and frustration because of recent performances, especially on the defensive side, and hope because we all know how talented this team can be when everything clicks. So buckle up, because we're going to analyze every angle, every stat, and every possibility that could shape the Cowboys' upcoming days. Let's start with the current situation. The Cowboys just faced a tough loss on a big stage, a game that was supposed to showcase their potential, but instead revealed some serious issues, particularly on defense. Allowing 34 points to the Minnesota Vikings is no small feat, especially when the game is on a national stage, with millions watching around the world. The way the defense was dismantled, especially by a player like Justin Jefferson, has sent shockwaves through the fan base and the media alike. Jefferson, as many of you know, is one of the most electrifying receivers in the league, and he's been a nightmare for defenses all season. But the way the Cowboys were shredded, almost as if they were giving Jefferson free rein, has raised serious questions about the coaching staff, particularly defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. This isn't just about one game, it's about a pattern that's emerging. Over the past few weeks, the Cowboys' defense has looked inconsistent, often failing to contain opposing offenses at crucial moments. The loss to Minnesota was a tipping point, exposing vulnerabilities that many fans and analysts have been pointing out for some time. Eberflus, who was hired in the offseason to replace Mike Zimmer, was supposed to bring a fresh approach, a new scheme that could elevate the defense. But instead, what we've seen is a team that struggles with adjustments, that seems to lack the flexibility needed to respond to different offensive strategies. It's one thing to plan well for the first half, but what happens when adjustments are needed at halftime or during the game? That's where Eberflus has been questioned. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, has always been a strong figure in the decision-making process, and recent reports suggest that he's starting to lose confidence in Eberflus. This is a big deal because Jones is known for being involved in hiring decisions and for having a clear vision of what he expects from his coaching staff. The fact that he hired Eberflus in the first place indicates that he saw potential, perhaps a defensive mind capable of turning things around. But after a series of disappointing performances, especially against top-tier offenses, questions are now being raised about whether Eberflus is the right man to lead this unit moving forward. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The talk in the media and among fans is that Jerry Jones might be waiting until the end of the season to make a definitive decision. But the signs are pointing toward a possible reevaluation much sooner. Reports hint that if the Cowboys continue to falter defensively, especially in critical moments, Jones might consider making a change, and that could involve bringing in a new defensive coordinator. But who would that be? One name that's floating around as a potential replacement, especially if the Cowboys want to shake things up, is Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, Todd Bowles. Now, why Bowles? Well, because he's a proven defensive mind in this league. He's been a defensive coordinator for the Jets and the Bucs, and he's got a reputation for being adaptable, aggressive, and capable of making in-game adjustments. In fact, if we look at his track record with Tampa Bay, Bowles helped the Bucs secure 3 straight NFC South titles. That kind of consistency is rare in today's NFL, especially in a division as competitive as the NFC South. But lately, the Buccaneers have been struggling, and Bowles' job might be on the line if the team continues its downward spiral, especially after back-to-back losses to the Saints and Falcons. This potential coaching change is not just speculation, it makes strategic sense. Bowles' defensive philosophy is markedly different from Eberflus. While Eberflus often relies on a more conservative, zone-based coverage and tends to be stubborn with his schemes, often abandoning adjustments when things go south, Bowles is known for his flexibility. He's a coach who isn't afraid to blitz, to mix coverages, and to adapt his game plan based on the opponent's tendencies. That's a critical difference. Cowboys fans, think about it. If your team is facing a dynamic receiver like Jefferson, wouldn't you prefer a defensive coordinator who can make quick adjustments and throw different looks at him? That's one of Bowles' strengths. But let's step back for a moment and analyze what this means for the Cowboys season. Right now, the team is sitting in an interesting position. They've had their moments of brilliance, notably on offense, where players like Dak Prescott and C.D. Lamb have been performing at high levels. Prescott, in particular, has been a stabilizing force, showing resilience and leadership. C.D. Lamb continues to develop into one of the league's premier receivers, capable of making contested catches and breaking big plays. The offensive line has also held up reasonably well, giving Prescott time to operate. But when it comes to the defense, the story has been inconsistent, with lapses at crucial times and a seeming inability to contain versatile offenses like Minnesota's. This inconsistency affects not just their immediate results, but also their long-term outlook. The NFC playoff picture is tight this year, with several teams vying for those coveted wild card spots and division titles. The Cowboys, despite their high expectations at the start of the season, are now in a position where every game counts even more. A shaky defense could be the difference between making the playoffs or watching from home. So, what's the outlook? If the Cowboys do decide to shake things up defensively, bringing in a coach like Bowles could be a game changer. His experience and proven ability to get the most out of his defenses would inject new life into this unit. Now, fans and analysts are pondering, what happens if this adjustment doesn't happen soon? The team's morale might take a hit, especially if the defense continues to leak points in high-pressure moments. The chemistry between players could suffer, and the coaching staff's confidence might erode further. On the flip side, a coaching change mid-season can sometimes serve as a wake-up call, energizing the team and shifting the momentum. But it's also risky. It's not always easy to implement new schemes quickly, and players need to buy into the new system. Still, given Bowles' track record, he might be better equipped to adapt on the fly compared to Eberflus. Let's also talk about the bigger picture. The Cowboys' recent history has seen a few coaching changes, but stability has often been prized. Jason Garrett's era, for instance, was marked by consistency, but also some stagnation. Now, with Mike McCarthy, the team has shown flashes of brilliance, but also moments of frustration, especially defensively. The potential move to bring in Bowles could be seen as a bold, strategic shift, one that aligns with the franchise's desire to contend for championships. Remember, this isn't just about surviving the regular season. It's about making a serious run in the playoffs, where defenses often make the difference between a deep run and an early exit. But what about the players? How might they react? Well, we've seen how some players respond positively to coaching changes, especially when they sense that the team is committed to winning and improving. Trevon Diggs, for instance, has been vocal on social media, and his leadership on the field is undeniable. If Bowles were to take over, it's likely that players like Diggs, along with others who thrive under aggressive, adaptable schemes, would flourish. The defense could transform from a liability into a strength, or at least a more competitive unit capable of holding its own against high-powered offenses. Now, let's not forget the upcoming schedule. The Cowboys have some crucial games ahead, and each one will test this team's resilience and coaching staff's ability to adapt. Matchups against division rivals like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Washington Commanders will be pivotal. These games could serve as real litmus tests for whether a coaching change is imminent or if patience still has a place. Historically, the Cowboys have had heated rivalries that often bring out the best, or worst, in their teams. Facing teams with strong defenses or mobile quarterbacks could expose even more vulnerabilities if the defensive scheme remains static. As we look towards the future, several scenarios emerge. One, the Cowboys stick with Eberflus for the rest of the season, hoping that the team can rally and improve. Two, they make a mid-season coaching change, possibly promoting from within or bringing in an external candidate like Bowles. Three, they wait until the offseason to evaluate. But with the pressure mounting, that seems less likely. Each option carries its own risks and rewards, but history shows that proactive adjustments tend to yield better results in the NFL. So what lies ahead? If the Cowboys continue down this path without significant change, they risk falling further behind in the NFC playoff race. But if they act swiftly and decisively, they could reinvigorate their defense, boost morale, and set the stage for a strong playoff run. The coaching carousel is turning, and the Cowboys are right in the middle of it. The question is, will Jerry Jones pull the trigger and bring in a proven defensive mastermind like Todd Bowles? Or will he stick with the current regime, hoping for a turnaround that might not come? Now, let's consider the implications of such a move beyond just the coaching staff. Bringing in Bowles could also send a message to the locker room that the team is serious about winning and willing to make tough decisions to improve. It might also influence the upcoming draft and free agency decisions, as the new defensive coordinator could have specific player profiles in mind. The ripple effects could extend well beyond this season, shaping the franchise's future for years to come. And what about the fans? As always, the energy is electric. Some are calling for immediate change, frustrated with the defensive lapses and missed opportunities. Others believe that patience is key, that stability and trust in the process will eventually pay off. But one thing's certain, everyone is watching closely, waiting to see what Jerry Jones will do next. The stakes are high, and the NFL landscape is filled with examples of coaching changes leading to either resurgence or further chaos. The Cowboys are no strangers to this drama, and this season might just be another chapter in their ongoing quest for greatness. Now, you might be wondering, how does this compare with other teams in the league? Well, coaching stability and defensive performance are often correlated with success. Teams like the San Francisco 49ers, for example, have built a reputation on strong defense and adaptable schemes. Meanwhile, teams that stick with ineffective coordinators often struggle, especially in high-stakes games. The NFL has become increasingly quarterback-driven, but a solid defense can tilt the scales in tight games, especially in the playoffs. Cowboys fans know this all too well. A great defense can disguise offensive struggles and carry the team when needed. And speaking of other teams, how does the Cowboys' defense compare statistically? Right now, their points allowed per game place them in the middle of the league, not terrible, but not good enough for a team with playoff aspirations. The pass defense, in particular, has been vulnerable against top-tier receivers, which is why Jefferson's performance was so damaging. The run defense has also shown inconsistency, allowing big gains at critical moments. These numbers, while not catastrophic, highlight the need for a strategic overhaul, especially if the team wants to contend deep into January. Let's also reflect on the coaching philosophies. Eberflus' approach is rooted in a disciplined, zone-heavy scheme that emphasizes sound coverage and turnovers. While that can be effective, it requires perfect execution and adaptability, which is where questions have arisen. Bowles, on the other hand, is known for his aggressive style, often sending blitzes and changing coverages to keep offenses guessing. That difference could be what the Cowboys need to elevate their defense to the next level. It's about finding that balance between aggression and discipline, and whether the current staff can find it before the season slips away. Now, what about the players involved? We've only mentioned Trevon Diggs and the defensive line, but it's worth considering how individual performances shape the team's overall success. Diggs, as a key cornerback, has been a playmaker and a vocal leader. His confidence and aggressive style could thrive under Bowles' more flexible, blitz-heavy approach. Meanwhile, the defensive front, including players like Micah Parsons, is essential for creating pressure and stopping the run. If a new coordinator can unlock their full potential, the Cowboys' defense could turn a corner in the coming weeks. Looking ahead, the management's decision will be influenced by more than just this season's results. The long-term vision for the franchise, development of young players, and the desire to finally break through as a true championship contender all play a role. The NFC is crowded with talented teams like the Eagles and 49ers, so making strategic moves now could be the difference maker in January. The Cowboys have always been a team that can bounce back quickly when their defense is firing on all cylinders. Remember the dominant defenses of the 1990s. That legacy is still alive, and perhaps a coaching change is the key to recapturing that magic. And what about the fans' perspective? The social media chatter is intense. Some are calling for immediate change, fueling debates about whether the current staff is the right fit. Others are more patient, trusting that McCarthy and his team can turn things around. But deep down, everyone is aware that the clock is ticking. The upcoming games, especially rivalry matches, will be pivotal. If the Cowboys can stabilize their defense and start winning more convincingly, the faith in the coaching staff could be restored. However, if the pattern of inconsistency continues, expect a lot more speculation and potentially a dramatic coaching shakeup. As we wrap up this deep analysis, let's consider the bigger picture. The NFL is a league where adaptability, strategic thinking, and leadership are everything. Teams that can make mid-season adjustments often find new life and momentum. The Cowboys are at a crossroads, and the decision they make in the next few weeks could define their season and possibly their future. Bringing in a coach like Bowles with his proven track record might just be the move that propels them into postseason success. Or, alternatively, sticking with the current regime might be an act of faith in development and patience. In conclusion, the Dallas Cowboys' recent struggles on defense, especially against a star like J.J., have ignited a firestorm of debate. The possibility of a coaching change with Todd Bowles as a prime candidate has fans and analysts buzzing. It's a classic NFL story, the quest for excellence, the pressure of the playoffs, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Whatever happens next, one thing is clear: the Cowboys are in a critical phase, and their decision now could shape the legacy of this franchise for years to come. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe a coaching change is necessary? Would Bowles be the right fit? Or do you think the team should stick with Eberflus and trust the process? Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Dallas Cowboys. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates. So stay tuned for the latest Dallas Cowboys news. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video if you enjoyed the analysis. Together, we're building the most comprehensive Cowboys community on YouTube. Until next time, stay passionate, stay critical, and as always, go Cowboys.